We're all living through this time of such change, in this time of coronavirus and quarantine and social distancing. And all of us have the opportunity to explore our lives in a more conscious manner. We all have the opportunity right now to really re-examine our lives, our work, our relationship to others, our relationships to ourself, and we're getting to reinvent how we want to be in this world. We're getting to reshape our entire world and life experience. So this is true for me as well. It is true for my work. And what that means is that this channel, this YouTube channel, is being repurposed. It is being refocused and really dedicated to an exploration of what it is to live more consciously, more peacefully, and more powerfully alive. So what does that mean? What does that mean for this channel, the content that's going to be appearing here, and what does it mean for you? Well, let's explore. So if you're at all familiar with my work, with the way that love moves through me, with my sense of purpose and passion, my real devotion, it's always around helping to guide both my life and those with whom I work in a way that we can live with more grace, with more consciousness, more presence, more awareness about the full dimensionality of this human experience, this precious human experience that we get to live. And so today, really, I want to announce that this YouTube channel is going to become a lot more active. And it's really, the content is all going to be focused around living more consciously, more peacefully, and more powerfully in our lives. And I do this because that's my journey. That's really the foundation of my own life, is a life of constant curiosity, of constant exploration, kind of moving to the edge of what is known, of what the current experience of being a beautiful human is, and then moving that edge, exploring beyond it, exploring into what is the full reality of this human experience. That it's not just a mind-body experience, but there's our spirituality, there is our higher consciousness that can be awakened into and incorporated into this beautiful experience. So why this channel is getting really devoted to this type of content? So I live here in Sedona, Arizona, which some of you may know is a real mecca for, it's where people come to explore their lives, to expand their understanding of themselves and the world around them. And as a teacher here in Sedona, I work with hundreds and hundreds of people throughout the year. And what I'm finding is that people are thirsty. They're just hungry for nourishment of the soul. They're curious, they're desirous of living this life more fully and more gracefully, more consciously. And it's always such a pleasure. It's such a joy to do this work, because to sit with anybody and help guide in how to live more consciously, more aware, more courageously, more wholeheartedly. It's such a beautiful thing when people bring themselves to that experience, and more people are doing so. Because to live this precious life is an art. It really is. It's an art. You know, if we wanted to learn anything, of import, that we thought was going to be valuable in our lives, that we thought was going to be a beautiful part of our lives, whether it was to learn an art form like painting or playing an instrument or learning a language, studying botany, anything that we wanted to expand in our lives, we would find teachers, we would find guides, we would find people who had been down that path or explored into that territory that we wanted to know. And in our initial explorations, we'd be like, this territory is unfamiliar to me. So we would find teachers. We would find those that had spent enough time there to get to know this landscape, this path, this journey, and then teach us how to move into that art form. And here we are with this precious life that we get to be conscious in, that there's a consciousness that is a part of this human experience that most of us aren't exploring, that is kind of a veiled part of the experience or a mysterious or other than this life that we know, kind of the unknown aspect of our lives is this vast conscious part of our lives. Here we are with this precious opportunity to live this life, and it's not easy. Right? We've got our conditioning, we have our programming, we have our stories from our youth that have created a self-image that is usually pretty rough. And we've got our emotional body, our psychological dynamic. We have our spiritual dynamic. We have all these things at play that we're managing just within us. And then we're engaging with others who are in their soup of self, in their dynamic of self, trying to manage that. And there's so much projection and defense and positioning. And it's not easy. And yet most people are just winging it. They're not really they're not studying life. They're not dedicated to really exploring and studying and expanding their understanding and their embodiment of the full dimensionality of this human experience. So people are thirsty, and more people are looking for guidance. And so that's what this channel is going to be, a place for guidance, a place for inspiration, a place for sharing what this experience is for me, for my clients and students, and helping share that so we all can recognize we're all on this really similar journey together. And the other reason of why is because now is the time. We are all getting to reshape our lives with more consciousness, more awareness, more presence, more consideration, more devotion. We have the opportunity to take this life that is currently kind of fallen apart around us in this time of coronavirus and quarantining and separation and not having access to all of our normal addictions and distractions. And we're getting to beautifully, consciously reshape our lives. So, why me? Why do I do this? Because I spent the majority of my life, I'm 59 right now, I turned 59 2 or 3 days ago. And they say the first 50 years of childhood are the hardest. And I spent the first 50 years of my life in a pretty deep state of anxiety, of uncertainty, of fear, because the only self I knew was the ego constructed self, the self that my mind had made of me. And I didn't know that there was another dynamic there. I didn't know that there was a more eternal self, an authentic self, pre-conditioning, before any conditioning, programming, stories I learned about myself from mom and dad and bullies and society and school and media and all of that. I had created a self that was really anxious. And I found through listening to my teachers and finding others who had explored this territory of the most divine essence of our being, of consciousness, and discovered that there's a deep peace there. There's a deep and sustained wholeness and peace that is the true nature of our being. And once I started to really explore that, my entire life changed. And I want to share that with others. Help people find and discover their truth, their wholeness, their most divine nature, so that essence of our being can come into a beautiful, harmonious relationship with the egoic identity, so that there can be a harmony and a humbling of the ego, so that we can allow and let in the fullness and richness of our lives. And I do it because I now am living this life of such peace. And it's still a journey. I still meet my shadows and I still meet my conditioning. But there's so much ease now and love and peace that is accessible now that wasn't accessible for the majority of my life. And this is what I do, and it's what I love, and it's how love moves through me. So what? So really, this channel, the content that's going to be appearing here is the shares about what is it to live more consciously, more mindfully, if you will, more wholly enlivened in our full dimensionality. How do we do that? What does it look like? What are the nuanced ways of perceiving and understanding and exploring this beautiful, precious life? And again, all the dynamics of it, the psychology, the emotional dynamics, and the spiritual dynamics of our humanness. And really, here's the core of it. This is really what prompted the desire to focus on bringing more content to this channel on a more regular basis. What I'm finding, what I'm recognizing is that when people come here to Sedona and they know they're looking for some freedom from their mind, some freedom from their conditioning, from their emotional and mental pains. They want some balance and some grace and a more sustained sense of joy in this life. And I introduce them, I and the other practitioners that work with people here in Sedona, I introduce people to an aspect of their soul, if you will, an aspect of their dynamic, of their fullness, which is their conscious self, their self prior to conditioning, the who they really are. And so there's a spiritual component to it, but everybody I work with finds this place of going, oh my God, that's been hidden from me. That dynamic of myself, that beautiful divine essence of my being, I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know how to open it up. I didn't know how to start exploring into that. I didn't even know it existed. These are really just normal people who are just coming to find a little bit of grace and peace and guidance. So what I'm really saying is that my interest is in to make consciousness less daunting or less obscure, less the realm of, oh, that's what the seekers do, who are climbing the mountain to find the guru, to get the truth. That's for those kinds of people that in my day and age growing up we would have called them the hippies. I want to help to bring this into the normalcy of a regular life, that our meditations, our stillness, Our explorations of mindfulness are no longer just the obscure realms that some people participate in who wear robes and beads and live on ashrams. But to just recognize that, no, that's just a normal part of life. That's just a normal and beautiful potential in this human life to lead it more consciously alive, more consciously awakened. So I want to help to make this realm that is initially a bit obscure as this way of being aware that can seem obscure, to make it more accessible. To help with the weekly shares, I'm going to be sharing a couple of times a week here, to be pointing in different ways to what is consciousness, what can we be conscious of, how can we find these other dimensions of ourselves that are unfamiliar, to help make it understandable, to help make it relevant, and to help create an atmosphere and an understanding of study and devotion and that is just a normal part of life. Like yoga has become such a normal part of life for so many, and years ago that wasn't even on the radar for most people. Tell somebody in the 50s, I've got a yoga practice, that wouldn't even been on it wasn't even in the common vernacular. So consciousness is now coming into the common vernacular, to be more spiritually aware, consciously aware, and not have it be a weird thing. So that's really the desire. And that's what this is all about, is helping normalize what has been a bit on the fringe, and a realm that is, or a perception or way of being that has seemed to many to be hard to get to, or not understood. To have a meditation practice be not just about relaxing and being calm and being peaceful, but to have a meditation practice that is specifically designed to awaken the true nature of our being, to self-realize in this life. Shouldn't necessarily be something that is for just a few to do. Let's make that part of just a normal part of conversation, of dialogue, of experience. All right. So let's see. I think I've covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this today. If you're new, if you're not subscribed, and if this is intriguing to you, if it's interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel. And if this video or any video has something of value for you, and you think it might have some value for other people as well, please make sure you click that thumbs up, that like, and then it makes it more available to other people. If you want to know more about me and my work, you can visit me at chessedwards.com. And in fact, if there's a place you can sign up there for a free gift, which is a link to some of my guided meditations. And look forward to more content a couple of times a week on this channel. The videos will probably be about 20 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes. And again, some guidance around how to live more consciously and peacefully and powerfully alive. Because this is my life. This is the world I explore. And I've become really familiar with it. And I want to help you explore a territory that may be a little bit unfamiliar to you, and help make it more accessible and more familiar and more enjoyable. All right. Blessings all, and I will see you soon.